Hello, everyone. This is me without the jacket, so that you can distinguish me from the role as a host, and now I'm as a speaker. This is my surname, and as I was wondering how to start this presentation, I was deciding to start it with a rather quirky quote from my favorite singer, Sia, and the quote is, "World, I want to leave you better." And for this sentence, it's really specific for me, because for me, it cuts both ways. First of all, I want to leave this place as a better person. That means better as today. And for me, it also means that I want to leave this place better. Just like sometimes you see with the toilets, right? Leave this place as you wish to see it yourself. So, to leave the world a better place, I use evidence-based tools to actually design habits and shape behaviors. And I've also wrote 2 books about that. Well, I wrote many more books, but those 2 books actually concern shaping behaviors. And what I mean by ethically shaping behaviors, it is using the evidence-based tool to make people what is good for them, but sometimes also good for the businesses. And for that purpose, I want to talk about something that is called a talk trigger. And you might wonder, what is a talk trigger? A talk trigger is an innate function or feature of your product or service that triggers the talk, namely that triggers the conversation. And there are plenty of things that trigger the conversations, and I once also did trigger the conversation. Some time ago, I came to a conference similar to this one, and at this conference I was talking about how perception shape reality. And I was talking about the design and how you have to be really, really careful about changing something about the design, because the perception goes one way. You either see something or you don't. And at that conference, I took upon a case study of a Swedish company that works in the real estate, and the company's name is Locum. So, in this company, someone had an epic idea to replace one of the letters with a heart. You know, like with I love marketing, I love New York. And you might guess which of the letters they decided to replace in their marketing campaign. Yes, it was this letter. And if you know English well enough, you know what it means. And if you don't, please Google that, but do it probably in an incognito search so that you don't have any further problems with that. Now, I was talking about that at a conference, so the situation was exactly like this. So you are taking a picture right now with me, with a slide that declares that. And that is exactly what happened, because somebody took the picture that looked like this. And it was a picture with this is a slide, and this is me, obviously. And then somebody put it in a Facebook group, a rather prominent Facebook group. And by the time I arrived home after a 3-hour journey on a train with no Wi-Fi, I found out that I was really popular. Some people were thinking whether it's some sort of like an coming out declaration. Some people were thinking that it's a deep fake. A couple of years ago, they already thought that it was a deep fake. Really, really a small percentile of people thought that it was actually a case study. So it didn't last very long, but it was quite funny. So obviously, if some of you are taking a picture right now, this is going to be a sort of like an inception. Now, this was not planned. It was a talk trigger because it triggered conversation for some time, but it was not planned. At best, it was a stunt. And a stunt is not a talk trigger. Now, not a talk. What is a stunt? A stunt is when you're using some sort of an event to do something that will boost the conversation for some time, but it is not repeatable. Stunt includes things like this. You got a car, you got a car, you got a car. Anyone remembers? 20 years ago, she has given cars to everyone in the audience. It was very good for her, Oprah Winfrey. Not so good for the Pontiac, who invested more than $8 million into the event, but did not get much of the ROI. Stunt includes things like, appearing at a conference in a dress made of meat, or including celebrities at fashion shows. Although here I fear that someone might actually go for the cheaper version, and we will end up with celebrities like this. Now, nevertheless, a stunt is not a talk trigger. So a talk trigger is an organic part of your product or feature that will make people talk. Why should you think of investing in a talk trigger in your product or service? Well, because even though when people decide on what they want to buy, they still do some homework in the form of an online research, then the second and the third largest opinion groups are the family and friends. Now, we trust them when we are looking for the next best thing in terms of product or services. Now, I'm going to ask you a question, and you please think about the answer. What is this thing that 83% of people do once a year globally? They also do this 55% a month and 33% a week. We don't have the daily data, but take your mind out of the gutter. It is not sex. It is they talk about brands, product, services without being paid for that. Now, when do they pay attention and when do they talk about it? When they have the experience with the service of the product. And now, a simple truth. People are triggered by the experience in two extreme cases. The first one is when the experience is horrid. Think of the last time you really had a horrid customer experience. Did you share this story of disappointment with your friends, with your family? Were you prompted to instantly go online and vent about the event? I did, of course, providing I had Wi-Fi in Polish trains. Now, they also talk about it when the experience is splendid. And that is good news. They don't talk about the experience when the experience is up to their expectation, which means that it's good. Good is a four-letter word. So is lame. You know, if your experience is good, that's not good. It's as if you are expecting people to talk about your restaurant only because they did not get food poisoning. You know, that's not good. You have to do better. It's the same, it's the equivalent of expecting people to talk about your experience at a hotel because you had provided them with beds and not bunk beds. Now, in order to design a good talk trigger, you have to think in terms of the 4 R's. And the 4 R's are, first of all, your talk trigger has to be remarkable, it has to be relevant, it has to be repeatable, and it has to be reasonable, which leads us to the 4 R's. What it means that a talk trigger, which is a feature of your product or a service that is remarkable. Remarkable, it is a nice word. It not only means amazing, it also means worth remark. It has to be something that people will care about. So, just like with Hans Brickner Hostel. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the hostel, but this is the hostel that actually advertises themselves very, very honestly. They compete in a hostel industry where, you know, the best thing to compete with is location and saying, okay, we are great. But when you go on the website, you will see things like this. Welcome to Hans Brickner Hostel. Quite honestly, not the best. And then you get what you pay for. And since you don't pay much, you are not going to get the following things. You're not going to get the swimming pool, room service, honeymoon suites, or a gym. You don't even get to get those nice tiny bottles of shampoo and a spa ball or bellboys. What you're going to get in this hostel, which is particularly horrible, is this. It's kind of like a do your own thing. Also, they have a fun marketing campaigns that says, now, even more dog shit in a main entrance. Why do they do that? Because everyone else is saying that they are okay, which is good, and they are the only one that have the worst experience. And some people go there for the same purpose as some people go to Ranmageddon or other extreme sports. Why? Because then they want to brag about it, that they survived. It's not for everyone, but it's definitely for some demographics. A funny thing is, in most experiences, you expect that the experience after is going to be better than the one before. In here, quite the opposite. So this is how you check in, and this is how you check out. Right? They do their best to be really horrible. And their motto is, it can't get any worse, but we'll do our best. And people love them for that. They have this. You can even boost your immune system with the set of microbes. How fun is that? Once again, not for everyone, but for some. Now, it has to be relevant. Relevant means that it's relevant to your business, meaning that you have to look for something that is part of your business, just like Cheesecake Factory did, which is famously known for a very, very long menu, but also famously known for a beautiful minimalistic architecture, as you can see. Now, their menu is 6,000 words. To compare that to my book, it's 10 times only larger than the menu. More than 600 positions in the menu. Why? Because you want people to talk about it, and they talk about it. On a first date, that's the first favorite book. This one is quite interesting. My daughter said her English class requires 1,000 pages of summer reading, so we went to the Cheesecake Factory and I handed her a menu. Now, once again, not for everyone, but it is a talk of the town. 43% of the customers after leaving Cheesecake Factory mention it on social media repeatedly. And by the way, it has to be repeatable, meaning that you have to allow the same talk trigger for each and every customer. It cannot be like a lottery ticket. It has to be repeatable. It also has to be reasonable, meaning that your financial or CFO does not faint when you see the efforts. And that's what they do at Dick's Last Resort. Mind the name. What they do? In this restaurant, you can be officially offended. So when you enter the restaurant, they tell you that you are going to be offended and if you are going to like it or not. So if you don't like it, you don't enter the restaurant. But if you enter the restaurant, they will get you. It's like the equivalent of the worst roast you have ever been to. They will call you stupid, they will call you naughty, they will call you angry. They will even bring you funny paper hats that come with nice slur words. Does it work? It turns out that it works. There is even research for that. Your talk trigger should be like, mind the metaphor, black toilet paper. It is black, but it's still a toilet paper, so it functions as a reasonable, repeatable part of your business. This is not sandpaper. This is not barbed wire. This is toilet paper. By the way, a friend of mine, Jonah Berger, who is actually an author of Contagious, did this trick for his fellow friends in the academia. He replaced, during a large event like this one, toilet paper with the black toilet paper. And there, all the Stanford professors and PhDs were talking about toilet paper. Can you imagine that? Everyone going to the toilet and then coming back and saying, "Have you seen the toilet paper? It's black." Right, of course, black toilet paper stays the talk of the town as long as the other toilet papers are white. But it's good. The same good is Men in Kilts. The only known, so far, company that offers cleaning services where you get men in kilts. That's not a metaphor. And I guess some people would like to check if those men are wearing underwear under those kilts like the real Scots should have. So again, this is reasonable from the point of view of finances. It's also repeatable because every customer knows that they're going to get. And trust me, they take selfies with those cleaning services. Kudos to them. So it has to be remarkable, relevant, repeatable, and reasonable. The 4 R's are here. Where to look for your talk triggers? Well, you have to look for the talk triggers in categories. And remember, the 4 R's are obligatory. So you have to check all the boxes, all the 4. But when it comes to looking for the areas of the talk triggers, you don't have to check all the boxes. It can be 1 or 2. The first one is remarkable usability. The second one is speed or responsiveness. The third one is empathy. The fourth one is generosity. And the fifth one is attitude. Now, what it means that something is extremely usable. Oh, I saw that you wanted to take a picture and I was so fast with that. Sorry about that. That's my empathy. I'm going to send that to you after all. So now, what it means that something is especially usable, right? You take a look at your product, especially the physical product, and make it especially usable. Just like the Dutch boy. Anyone who ever struggled with painting your own room or even a cabinet, you understand the struggle. You know, there's always too much paint. What they did with this is so amazing. And of course, they trademarked it. It's taking the product and making it different. Or this. Anyone who ever struggled with spaghetti? Anyone here? Hands up. Too much spaghetti? Yeah, it's never too little, isn't it? It's always too much. Here, you've got the exact portions. Perfect. So that's usability. Now, this is empathy. Now, Chewy.com is an online business when you subscribe food for pets. Pets, even the longest living pets, sometimes go. And by go, I mean they die. And I'm sorry to break the news, but since, maybe 14 years is like the lifespan, most pets die before their owners die. So what happens with a subscription then, right? Of course, they should cancel the subscription. But Chewy.com takes it one step further. They actually write to the owners, not only informing them, yes, we've canceled your subscription, get away, but they write a sincere, honest letter of condolences. They provide a nice portrait of a pet. And that is cool. What is generosity? Is giving more than expected. And that's what you get at Five Guys. You get more fries than expected because they always get at an extra portion. Now, the fourth one is speed. And now, sometimes you just cannot compete with speed. Unless, of course, you're competing with Polish railways. But now, you cannot compete with buy with one click. That's as fast as it can get for now. Anyone here using Kindle, you know that this can be very dangerous because the moment you think of an ebook or an e-version, you just go there, you buy with one click, and it instantly lands on your Kindle. Great for Amazon, sometimes not so great for me. I mean, I have so many books, and I have so little time to read them now, but at least they're on my Kindle. Now, you cannot compete with the speed, but you can compete with being responsive. And I think that when it comes to experience, it's very important. Everlane, Everlane is a retail business, e-commerce business, whenever they know that the package is going to be delayed, so the delivery is going to be delayed, not only do they write in advance, but they also provide you with the granular parts of the journey. And that makes people less angry with them. And the last is attitude, is being honest, and is having a very particular attitude about your business. Patagonia does that, where they really do their business well. And not only that, but they also are very honest about saving the environment. Biedronka, at some time in Poland, was also good about it. And those of you who read in Polish, you can read that. They were good in their attitude towards the customers. Blunt, funny. Okay, for those of you who don't read Polish, don't worry, I'm going to translate that later on. Or you can use Google Translate. It will not work well because this is very specific. But here, it's a very specific attitude. Also, Tom's. Oh, sorry, because some people are still reading that. Tom's is very good with that too. You buy one pair of shoes, they provide one pair of shoes for somebody in need. But that's also attitude, Cards for Humanity, especially marketed as positioned as a card game for horrible people. You make a statement by buying this. That's cool. So, you have all this, and now all this combined, remarkable, relevant, repeatable, reasonable, in Skip's Kitchen. In Skip's Kitchen, that is a very nice restaurant in California, you order your food, but when you do that, the waiter comes with a deck of cards, and if you pick Joker, which statistically is possible, and it's quite possible, actually, it's far more possible than winning lottery, because you've got 2 Joker cards in a deck of cards, you don't have to pay. And it's a repeatable, reasonable effort for this restaurant. It is also based on a peak end effect. Why? Because the experiences we remember are marked by 2 things. We as humans do not remember the average of experience. Even from this conference, you're not going to remember the average moments. You are going to remember the worst, hopefully not so many, the best, and you are going to remember the end, because the end is crucial. And now, The end is crucial, and I'm going to invite you that if you wish to, and if you speak Polish, sorry for that, but for the others, I got some great news too. There's a webinar tomorrow happening where you will learn how to design those TED Talk triggers. You will get some additional materials, and you will learn some additional case studies. And it's going to be in Polish, but for those of you who want to, please do welcome. But there is one more thing. And now, I'm going to let you just scan it for a second now. One more thing which is personally important to me, and that is this. Well, I'm going to use this one more thing, which is usually a Steve Jobs line, but I'm not going to do the Steve Jobs now. This is Damian, and I'm pretty much sure that some of you know that he worked for the World Center Kitchen, and he was killed by the Israeli army when he was helping the people in Gaza struggling with famine. And now I want you to do one thing. I mean, I want you, you have the choice to do whatever you want to do, to scan the QR code that is going to be very soon here and donate in memory of Damien for the Ward Center Kitchen. And please do tell the others, this is the QR code. Please scan it, please donate if you wish to. And thank you.